The active agenda, we have 3 public hearings to start off before the regular board meeting. So I'd ask you please stand for the pledge of allegiance before our first public meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. First of all, welcome everyone to tonight's meeting. This is our regular October meeting. If you remember back in September, we had to move it up because by law I have to present to the board a tentative budget for 2021 prior to October 6th, which is the date of our regular scheduled meeting. And also we're going to be changing the meeting date for November because it falls on election day. And as soon as towards the end of the meeting, we'll consider that with the rest of the board members and when that will be. Okay, our first public hearing is a public hearing before the town board of the town of Seneca Falls, New York. It was held on October 1st, will be held today, October 1st, 2020, at 6 p.m. at the Seneca Falls Community Center, 35 Water Street, Seneca Falls, New York, regarding the adoption of proposed local law number 5 of the town of Seneca Falls for the year 2020. This local law would amend section 146-3 of the town of Seneca Falls Town Code to allow for better enforcement of open burn, fire pits, and small fires. Copy of the above law are eligible for inspection at the office of the town clerk, located at 130 Ovid Street, Seneca Falls, New York. I guess I need a motion to start the public hearing.
Open it and then
yes. So move. Second. Thank you. So, is there any public comment about this local law? It cleans up the language of open fires in the town of Seneca Falls. Right now our codes are very vague. It only mentions something called a bonfire, and many of our residents have fire pits, legal fire pits, and this law will basically set the parameters of what is allowed and what's not allowed. Like leaving a fire unattended, and how high it can be, and how close it can be to other residences, and what you can burn and what you can't burn. This has no effect on any property in the agricultural districts of the town of Seneca Falls. So this is something that will help out our police department because it's been a rough summer for complaints, and now the law is very clear, and hopefully everyone will enjoy their outside in a much more reasonable situation. Any public comment on this local law number 5? Yes, sir.
Okay. Just as I was reading this, you know, if you have a wood fire pit, burnt wood, sometimes you use that fire starter material, not gasoline or anything like that, but it's...
That's what I use, gasoline.
Okay. And it's spectacular when you see it happen. It's really, you know, those are our fireworks. So does this forbid that? It's sort of formed out of wax and wood chips? And
no, it forbids leaves and brush, obviously garbage, stuff of that nature.
Okay, because it just says, limited to untreated wood, whatever that is. I mean, I sort of know what that is, but that would seem to, if we're refining the language, it would seem to preclude some of that.
The untreated wood relates to pressure-treated lumber. Because of the chemicals in it, obviously you're not supposed to burn. But other than starting the fire with starter wood, and I know exactly what you're talking about, the little logs type of thing. Yeah, perfectly permissible.
Okay. Well, so my question is, do we refine this language?
Define
refine it to reflect that, or let it go?
I don't know if you get necessary for that, or.
I don't know. I think treated lumber is a thing. Treated lumber is a known entity. It is a thing unto itself, you know, it's deck wood, basically. So I don't know that I mean, we certainly could put an exclusion in there for something, but I think just calling it non-treated wood, non-treated wood. I'm very open to suggestion
that far, because you have to be careful as you put an exclusion in, that it opens some other door.
Exactly.
You know, if they accept commercial fires, but then people will say, well, I can pour this stuff on there, so I don't know. Maybe it's better left in the way. That question came up.
Yeah, I mean, all of these local laws, as everyone knows, is there's a committee made up of community members and working with Pat and a lady named Jane Nicholson from the MRB group on these. And again, these were unanimously accepted by that committee. So I don't know if there's a need to change it, but I mean, we can change the language just to cover that problem. Okay, any other public? Yes?
Can you read it, so you know what's up?
Sure. Pat, you have that in your report?
I do. Yeah, I can read through it. Okay. Sit tight for a second. Okay, section 146-3, burning outdoor. A, outdoor burning is prohibited, and except as permitted herein, outdoor open burn is not permitted in the town of Seneca Falls. B, exceptions. A, all burning material must be contained in a fire pit/grill, fire pit table, chimenea, or other fireplace. All must have covers not to allow embers to fly freely out of the burn container. The burn area opening is not to exceed 36 inches in diameter. No person shall kindle or maintain any such fire on any property less than 15 feet from any structure and/or combustible, i.e. a house, porch, garage, trees, bushes, fencing. Flames not to exceed 2 feet in height. No person shall kindle or maintain any bonfire or rubbish fire or authorize any such fire to be kindled or maintained on or in any public street, alley, road, or other public ground without proper authorization. Burning that produces excessive smoke will not be allowed at any time. At no times the fire shall be left unattended until extinguished. B, fires may only utilize non-treated wood or charcoal as fuel. No leaves or other organic materials are permitted. C, this section in no way alters the open burning restrictions of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, and in no way restricts any sound agricultural practice conducted in an agricultural district or on land that receives an agricultural assessment. D, ceremonial or celebratory bonfires may be conducted where not otherwise prohibited by law, provided that only untreated wood is used as fuel and the fire is not left unattended until extinguished. All such fires must be approved in writing by the fire chief and may be prohibited at his discretion for any reason. E, small fires that are used to dispose of a flag or religious items and small fires or other smoke-producing process where not otherwise prohibited by law that are used in connection with a religious ceremony are accepted. F, burning on emergency basis if explosive or other dangerous or contraband material by police or other public safety organization is accepted. G, fire training, including firefighting, fire rescue, and fire/arson investigation training performed under applicable rules and guidelines of the New York State Department of State's Office of Fire Prevention and Control is accepted. C, fire chief's sole discretion to extinguish. All permitted exceptions listed above, as well as any other fire burning in violation of this chapter, may be extinguished at the fire chief's sole discretion. Fires determined to be producing excessive smoke or noxious fumes will be ordered immediately extinguished by the fire chief or his designee. D, penalties for offenses. Those individuals who fail to comply with this chapter will be guilty of a violation punishable by a fine not to exceed $250 per violation. For purposes of this chapter, each day a violation exists shall constitute a separate violation. That is the proposed new section 146-3.
Thank you, Pat.
I read right past it, but listening to Pat read it, how sure are we about the 36 inches of diameter? If I went to Sensenate or Copsonette, I can find 48-inch fire pits. Therefore, does somebody in town have a 48-inch fire pit? Are 48-inch fire pits going to be not allowed by town code?
48 is a pretty large fire pit.
I understand that, but I don't know.
I don't know if anybody has any or not, but if they do, it would not be, it's way too big, especially in a residential area, so they would have to not be able to use it.
I'm not saying.
I have
My
a
concern is if somebody already had one.
I have a question about, so does this say what it means, or mean what it says when it says that all fire pits have to have covers on them?
Correct.
Does that make sense? I don't know if I've seen a fire pit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have like screens.
Screen on them.
The idea is they don't have embers.
No, I get the idea, but I've never seen, really haven't seen anybody place a cover over an open fire. It sounds kind of dangerous, to be honest with you. If you got to put wood in there to take the cover on and off. I just haven't seen it in action.
Yeah, after the meeting, we can go over my house. I have a hot pad that I use to take off the screen when I add the wood. If I was ever using it, I haven't been able to use it because it hasn't been legal, but if I was ever able to use it, I use a hot pad to take off the screen to put the wood, you know.
Oh, it hasn't.
Pardon?
It has been legal up till now.
Correct, I haven't been able to use it yet because it's been illegal.
And
Right
also,
now, the code provides that there's no fires unless you have permission of the fire chief and the DEC.
No, the DEC.
The DEC, which.
That's the current law on the
Plenty
books.
of fires without.
That's a bit of now my gas one
It's a
doesn't.
little more.
that's the current.
Pardon?
Yeah, gas ones don't have a fire.
Right.
So that means there's gas, it's not private.
That's fine, just say fine. I'm, you know, I'm not sure this first paragraph is as clean as we want it to be yet.
Well, ultimately, we have 3 public hearings on the agenda this evening. Each one of them is a proposed local law. The next 2 relate to zoning. Each one of them will need to be referred to the county planning board for their review and recommendation. So none of them are moving straight to adoption this evening. So if we want to try to tighten up the language or clean up the language, certainly that we have the ability to do that.
And excuse me, and this is a public hearing, so when it comes time to, adopt the local law, then we can make changes or we move forward or not move forward.
Well, if you make changes, you have to have another public hearing.
Well, it's a typically not specific requirement that you not make substantial changes to the version that was presented at the public hearing. So depending on what the typical answer, it depends on what the changes are. But I mean, if the idea is that we want to have some control over open burning, and we're just cleaning up the language, we probably will not need to represent it and all that. But at the same time, we're all here. We're taking public input. If anybody has any ideas, this would be the time to listen to them and maybe make it better.
Yeah, Jay?
There are certain times, according to New York State law, that open fires are not permitted. And I'm not sure exactly which months those are offhand,
Correct.
but I think it should be stated very clearly in this law that, because I would assume that most people don't even know about those fire laws.
The
Yeah.
DEC determines it's not specifically the same months every year. It
Right.
depends on the climate and weather.
But I just think that it should be
Well,
very specifically written out.
Yeah, thank you. That's the burn ban. You'll see it on the firehouses. They'll put it on there. Thicker.
He's got that covered.
So what we added in here was just to say that this section in no way alters the open burning restrictions of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. And then next I went on to say that it doesn't restrict any sound agricultural practices conducted in an ag district or on land that receives the ag assessment, because we can't really restrict that anyway, but we put that in there. So the
I
point
just
of
like
putting...
that more clear.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I mean, basically it says you can't, if there's a no burn edict,
Yeah.
you can't have a fire. That's what that said.
The point is this,
Say that, that was a very complicated sentence, that I almost missed it when you
Yeah,
read it.
it's in there.
Yeah, it's in there, but it's,
At our meeting when we did this, what, it was like April or May or something, if I remember right, it was in there.
yeah, it's usually from,
Usually.
It was April or May.
like St. Patrick's Day or thereabouts till the middle of May. So usually 2 months in there when everything's dormant and ignites very easily.
You can add that in, huh?
Well, we talked about that at the time, but that didn't, if you put a specific date in there and then they extend the date, then that becomes even more confusing. So that's why we went,
That's why I write
whatever the general language is to specify.
How does this apply to the state park, which falls in the town?
I think they would have their own rules.
Well, do the town rules supersede theirs, or?
Not necessarily. I mean, we could exempt them as well, if that's what you have in mind.
Well, I'm just thinking that they don't actually have fire pits down there. Last time I was down there was just a lot of open, small fires on the ground, as I recall. And I don't know, I think it should be determined how it's going to play out to the state park. I also have a little issue, question with the 2 feet in height. I mean, I think, 2 feet is not very high for a fire, even in a 36-inch fire pit. And how do you really enforce that? I mean, I can't imagine somebody walking up behind my house, codes or PD with a tape measure and saying, hey, that fire is, 2.5 feet, here's your ticket. Do we really want to get into that? I mean,
I think there should be a stated limit.
there should be a what?
I think there should be a stated limit. I think that we have to take a stand that excessive fires are.
Well, yeah, I agree, but 2 feet it's not a very big fire.
So I'll go to Mike's house.
I mean, 2 feet, right? There you go. If I have a flame any higher than that, I can get a ticket? Oh, that seems a little unreasonable. To me, conversation.
Third and fire call.
Some of this begs the question, where did this come from? We talked about the committee, but were they?
That was brought in from Jane Nicholson, part of the MRB group, who's our consultant, and that's the I don't know if it's the national standard, but that's a standard of fire pits based on her research. We didn't just reinvent the wheel.
Okay.
It's a standard language in most towns, like the city of Geneva has this standard language in their code. It's pretty much, according to Jane, standard language for fire pits.
Yeah, because, the city is the city, right? I mean, we're talking about the town of Seneca Falls.
Well, I don't think the residential part of Seneca Falls is any less populated than the city of Syracuse, or city of Geneva. Obviously, when you get out to the other areas, obviously that's different.
Which is the majority of our town, right?
Not the majority of our people, the majority of our
It's the majority.
geographic location, yeah.
It's the
Stu, do
majority
you have
of
something to
town.
say?
I do. So in the past, the issue has not been as much about the fire. It's usually in a controlled atmosphere. There really hasn't been huge bomb fires like what's listed in the current code. It's the smoke. So that's what bothers people the most, is when you're living in tight quarters and you have a fire and the smoke happens to be blowing into the direction when somebody wants to leave their windows open. That's the biggest problem that we have. Not so much the flame, the height, the diameter. It's excessive smoke. Who considers excessive? We're having trouble with documenting that and making sure that that person shows what is excessive to one person might not be to another. We've been at houses where they say, well, I can smell the smoke. Can't you see it? I can't. It's really going to be up to, we're going to have the person sign the paperwork, submit for a criminal summons to court. They're going to get a ticket. They're going to need to go in front of a judge, and they're going to need to explain why this smoke was excessive from this person that had this fire. That's the most complicated part, is the smoke end of it.
Yes, sir.
Just what she said there, I know my wife has allergies, okay? We have fire pits around our house. That definitely affects her. And if people are doing it constantly, night after night, it's a health concern.
Yeah.
You might consider
That's
that
the
a
reason.
a discussion here.
I understand all the arguments, that we're not going out with a tape measure and saying you're 2.5 feet high in this flame, and, you know, and nobody really that doesn't really bother them as much. We're not gonna go out and measure fire pits and see that you're 6 inches in diameter larger than what's required. It's just not gonna happen. However, the smoke end of it, you know, Pat, you know, they're gonna make the argument, and they have made the argument, and what is excessive?
Okay, any more public comment? Thank you. Can I have a motion to
Make a motion.
close the public meeting?
Public meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. A public hearing before the town of Seneca Falls, New York will be held on first day of October 2020, 6 p.m. at the Seneca Falls Community Center, 35 Water Street, Seneca Falls, New York, regarding the adoption of proposed local law number 6 of the town of Seneca Falls for the year 2020. This local law would amend various sections of Chapter 300 of the town of Seneca Falls Town Zoning Code to allow for new permitted uses, flexible residential uses in downtown, and updated parking standards. Copy of the above local law has been available for inspection at the office of the town clerk at 130 Fall Street. Any resident of the town of Seneca Falls is entitled to be heard upon said proposal local law. Can I have a motion to enter into the public hearing for local law number 6, please?
I'll make a motion.
Can I have a second, please? Favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Basically, again, working to make Seneca Falls a pro-development community. There's many areas downtown that has 2, 3, 4 floors, and right now, according to our zoning laws, you're only allowed 1 apartment on each floor above Main Street or Fall Street. So this allows for multiple uses, multiple apartments in the spaces that are already there in existence, type of thing. And again, to encourage, and many people have come before the zoning board and the planning board looking to develop property in downtown Seneca Falls. Part of the revitalization and part of the DRI theme is to get people living downtown and working and spending their time downtown with restaurants and shops, etc. So this law opens up and allows for more development in downtown. Is that it in a nutshell?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. In the sections that are presented here, there's, I believe it's 4 sections. The one main section that takes up the bulk of the printing, the ink here, is the definitions. It's one section, it's 20 pages long. But in there, we introduced this is where you introduce the concept of the mixed-use building and mixed-use development. And in order to make that change of including that in the definitions, we had, it's the whole section, so the whole section is being adopted again. There were some minor edits throughout the definitions, but that's the major change. Then the next 2 sections are the C1 district, which is downtown, and C2, which is highway commercial, which is mostly going down 520 in either direction, and then up 414. But it allows the mixed use buildings in each of those zones, and that's why those sections are there. And then the minimum building area for dwellings. So that's there because the mixed use, the idea of having, the upstairs apartments with the commercial use on the main floor, the upstairs apartments would now be limited really by the space. Limited by the space, the particular the particular circumstances, especially in the old buildings downtown, you know, there's no straight edge, you know, you have what you have, and so the idea is to allow developers to use what's there to to the greatest benefit here. And so, so the limitation on the main change is to have a minimum square footage of 600 square feet for multi-family dwelling units in existing mixed-use buildings or mixed-use developments. That's the main change in that section, and that's why that's there. So it's really, the purpose is to introduce this concept of the mixed-use building, which really was not in the code before. And the other sections, once the definition is in there, the other sections are where it comes into play in those two particular districts. So that's what this particular zoning amendment is all about.
Thanks, Jeff. Any comments from the public? You're not going to ask them to read it, are you?
No, I'm not going to read it. I'm Susan Sanjo, and I serve on the zoning board as well. I live in one of the upstairs apartments that's been there 3 years and is second and third floor. What we get before the zoning board continually are developers trying to cram way too many apartments and too many people into small spaces in these upstairs areas. I really would want to encourage that, where we haven't blocked anybody from putting apartments upstairs. But when someone wants to put 8 apartments in an area, all of them being the minimal possible size, with one exit and no yard and so forth in some of these buildings, I think it's rather unfortunate, miserable housing, and it often does crowd the already crowded parking lots, because a place with 8 apartments, for instance, needs to have at least 8 car spaces, although we're saying
That's the next
I know,
public
that's the
hearing.
next thing,
Yes.
which we've often exempted,
Right.
but.
But no, that is the subject of the next local law that we'll be
Exactly,
discussing.
yeah.
So,
I guess I see it better served in the hands of the zoning and planning people than like running the red carpet out for these very tiny homes. Tiny homes where they can get a yard or a porch.
Yeah, there's a square footage requirement.
Yeah.
Obviously.
That's not very big. There's more than one person.
Okay, yes.
And yeah, Seneca Falls. Is this going to affect the development of the old tax building?
No.
Okay.
Other questions? Any more comment? With that, I have a motion
Well,
to,
yeah, I have.
I'm sorry.
I have a comment.
Okay.
I see the exterior, there's in 300-32E, exterior siding is of a type of material commonly used in residential construction. I know that in our heritage area, they've all, for a long time, kind of regulated building materials. Is that contrary to what the heritage area is trying to do? Not that I'm saying they're right, but did we let those folks look at any of these specs changes?
I don't know that we did, but I also don't think that, I mean, I think about all that would prohibit, though. I mean, it's not going to prohibit bricks or stone or siding or anything like that. And the historic preservation district has its own requirements. But I don't think that would impact upon that. I think what it would impact.
Well, the town code says I can go to, essentially this is telling me I can go get common residential construction material.
Right.
If you're not
Well,
historic.
Well, I don't think.
But it doesn't say that. That's
Well,
what
it
it's saying.
doesn't need to. The whole thing is, I mean, we don't restate the whole historic preservation requirements in our zoning.
No, but wouldn't we have to, so what is a person supposed to, go on? Are they
If
supposed
you're
to go by
getting,
the
if
town
you're in
code?
the historic preservation area, you need to comply with the historic preservation requirements.
Okay.
That's,
So they
that's in
wouldn't have an
addition.
argument- This wouldn't give them an argument, that, okay.
No, that's, but what it does is, you can't, we don't want you living in a tent. I don't think that would be I don't think canvas is a material commonly used in residential construction. Something like that, I think was the point of it.
Mike, we got an email from Reverend Nicola a couple months ago about tiny homes. These would, presumably, this language would prohibit those.
We have to up and move.
Leah and Tom, the Presbyterian minister. And it's basically they're asking, and we put her up saying, or I did, saying that we were going to be looking at all of this. Now, these specs, as I read them, are these minimum width of 20 feet, minimum square footage of 1,100 feet. That's much larger than the typical tiny home, which this says, I don't know where this comes from, Wikipedia, no doubt, seldom exceeds 500 square feet.
But this doesn't refer to that area of this is the downtown area.
No, this is throughout.
C1.
This isn't just C1.
I'm looking at
This is throughout.
300-32, it
Yeah.
doesn't say just downtown.
No, correct, that this would apply to all districts.
That's, whether you like them or not, they are a solution for some people for housing. I'm not sure we want to, I don't know how what we would do with this, but this excludes those.
Okay, is that a discussion the board wants to, I mean, I don't know how the board feels about that. But certainly that's a discussion to be had.
Well, again, that would come up when the time to pass the local law. Any other further discussion? Have a motion to adjourn public hearing to local law number 6.
Are we closing it?
Yes.
All right, then have the minutes say that it's closed.
Thank you. Public hearing before the town board of Seneca Falls, New York.
Make a motion.
I made one.
I second it.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Public hearing before the town board of Seneca Falls will be held first day of October 2020, 6 p.m. at the Seneca Falls Community Center. Local Law 7 of the town of Seneca Falls for the year 2020. This local law would amend section 300-56 of the town of Seneca Falls Town Code relative to off-street parking and loading. Copies of the law are available for inspection at the office of the town clerk. And a motion to open up the public hearing for local law number 7, please.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Okay. So, Pat, go ahead.
So this is the portion of the zoning code that puts out the minimum requirements for the parking spaces needed for different uses that you want to do. The main difference here, what this amendment would do, is that it would exclude any minimum requirements for parking in the C1 local shopping district. The C1 local shopping district is downtown. That's the only place where it is. It's, let's see, it doesn't go, it's basically right here on Fall Street. I don't think it gets past the nice and easy first one. And then stays on Fall Street to the east. Does go across to the river right to this to this intersection right here behind us. So the idea being, so that would not, so a lot of the buildings, some of them come with parking spaces, some of them don't. But they all have, in that area I just described, on-street, there is on-street parking available all through there. And there are some municipal lots also available. So the minimum parking requirements would be removed for that district. The other amendments have to do with adjusting downward the required number of parking spaces for the different types of uses that are in our code. Generally, most of those requirements were cut in half. In the current code, for every, whether it's a single-family residence or an apartment in an apartment building, everything required 2 parking spaces for every dwelling unit. That has been changed to 1 parking space. And again, this is the minimum number required when you come with your plan to ask for a building permit. You need to show that you have space for at least one parking space. And it goes down through with the different uses, and most of them are reduced. For something like a retail store, think something like Walmart, that was changed. It goes by 1,000 square feet of gross area, and that was changed from 5 down to 3. This all came about because many applications, Walmart, for instance, it's huge, so there's a lot of square feet, so it requires a ton of parking. And when that was built, they were able to obtain a variance to have the number of parking spaces that they have. But I've never seen it before. So I think generally, most of the time, you have a large, I'm going to mess up the word, but the rainwater has to roll down to the retention pond instead of going into the ground on this area that we required them to have for a parking area, which may not be needed. So impermeable, but there you go. Anyway, so basically this section adjusts downward the minimum requirements for new construction when you're trying to obtain a building permit. So it's that and removing the requirement for the C1 district.
Any questions or comment? Okay. Have a motion to close the public meeting local for local law number 7. Dave in the motion, second. Doug, all in favor? Aye. Thank you. Okay, at this time, Town Clerk Greer, would you please take roll call?
Okay, Michael Farrar,
Here.
Doug Avery. Here. Don Dyson. Here. Dave Delaney.
Here.
Steve Churchill.
Here. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Before we get into our agenda, we have a very special young lady here tonight. I don't know if you saw in the newspaper last week, where a Seneca County 911 dispatcher worked with an individual on the premature birth of a baby. And the baby was, I believe, 4 weeks early. Mom went into labor. This young lady who was in the back with her grandmother. Kayla, would you stand up, please? Okay. Mrs. Charette, would you stand up after you take my picture? There you go. Anyway, you guys, thank you. So Kayla was with her aunt, and her aunt went into labor 4 weeks early, and There's a lot of details that we're going to leave out, but the bottom line is Kayla, when the baby was born, the umbilical cord is wrapped around the neck of the baby. And so Kayla had to fight through the membranes and then free the baby of the umbilical cord, and then had to perform CPR until the medics got there. So Kayla worked with the 911 dispatcher, Allison Archer, and saved the baby's life. And last time I checked with Mrs. Reb, baby still in the hospital, mom is home and doing well. So I'd like to recognize Kayla for your heroics. Kayla's a senior. That's outstanding. Kayla's a senior at Miners Academy. Agreed to go to Vancouver Exposure for cosmetology and has plans to go on to criminal justice when you graduate from high school. So you're off to a great start. And on behalf of the town of Board of Seneca Falls, I got you a little something to get started, okay? Congratulations, Joe. I need to make a motion to add a agenda item to new business, please. The agenda item I need to add is a resolution for the sale of 115 Fall Street. Have a motion to add that to the agenda, please. Second by Don. Thank you. Nikki, we'll call that, I don't know what we'll call that. We'll call that Z. We go with Z. Letters, just like he was after D, we might be going home.
I would like to make a motion that we forever
eliminate A through Z.
No, that's forever add an item to the new business called, is there any other new business to come before the board?
Good idea. You're much more versed in this stuff than I am. That's a great idea. Any more new business to add to the agenda? You don't have to make them, it doesn't have to be approved or anything, you just, yeah, great, thank you. Make sure you keep me in line, because I don't have a clue what I'm doing. Okay, with that, we have no petitioners for tonight. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the public hearing and meeting of September 1st, 2020?
So moved.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. I make a motion that we accept the dog control officer report for the month of September. Second, please. Second. All in favor? Aye. Discussion. We already had that. Okay. Make a motion that we accept the zoning officer's report for the month of September. Second, please. Second. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Councilman Dyson.
I make a motion to accept the Park and Recreation report.
Second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Councilman Churchill.
No. Avery.
Avery. Oh, I'm sorry. Councilman Avery. Highway.
I move that we accept the monthly report for the highway department.
Second? Second. Jim, I don't know if you have anything. I just want to bring people up to date. The board in the previous month approved the fixing of a culvert on East Barrett Street, which has been completed, and the culvert on Garden Street, which has been completed. Please don't confuse East Barrett Street with West Barrett Street. This is the culvert on East Barrett Street, kind of across the street from Generations corporate headquarters, okay? Both of those jobs are completed, and, well, Jim?
Yeah, Mike, with using Seneca Pipe and Paving for under our equipment rental agreement and using the highway department, the job total came the estimate came in around $52,000
Combined, right?
combined with the two. We ended up doing both those projects for around $20,000. So we ended up saving the town around $30-some thousand by doing it ourselves in-house.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
And hopefully, I don't know, we got a little bit of rain yesterday, so hopefully, or the day before, so
Yeah.
everything is working so far, so
Seems to be,
good.
yeah.
So, great. Okay.
Mike, I still got a couple other things.
Yep.
I just want to remind everybody the brush pickup will be November 16th this year, and that's just brush only. And at the last board meeting, we talked about getting votes for everybody on the outside of the former village. I did some checking on that, and I talked to you at our committee meeting, and they got back with me. We looked at a 65-gallon tote and the present 95-gallon tote, which everybody's using right now in the former village. I took those totes out to Seneca Falls because they're our supplier that does the outside garbage pickup. They decided.
They're not our supplier, they're our hauler.
Right. They decided that they would rather use the 95-gallon tote instead of the 65. It isn't that, they're both the same, because I got one, they gave me a 65-gallon tote, and they're both the same as far as where it's gonna be picked up. If we use the 95-gallon one, then we'll be right in line with everybody else. We won't have two separate totes. So if we do that, like I said, the 65-gallon tote come in at $40 a tote, and the 95-gallon come in at $44 a tote.
So, Councilman Churchill, this is in response to your point of interest that the town people of Seneca Falls are at a disadvantage because the people living in the old village were provided totes when it was developed. So we've been looking into this, and basically we have just over 1,000 residents in the town of Seneca Falls, the old town. So if everyone wanted one at $44, well, you can do the math. We're looking at about $44,000 in addition to the budget to purchase these. The logistics would have to be worked out if the board so moves to go in that direction. Logistics would be, how many do we buy? Do we kind of send out a mailer? Are you interested? Do you want one? You don't want one? That kind of stuff. So at some point down the line here, most likely we'll have to make a decision if that's the direction the board wants to go in.
We had this conversation, but, you know, in another meeting, had a conversation with a person who lived in the town outside the village, and he doesn't want one. So even though there are 1,000 people out there, they may not all need them right away. You know, we may make them available as people need them. We could maybe even phase them in, you know, district that, you know, so maybe it doesn't all happen in 1 year. But, you know, I think there are going to be other people who maybe when what they've got wears out, they'd like one, but right now they're fine. I don't know how we quantize that, but I don't think we have to buy 1,000 of them right now.
Okay. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
All in favor, please accept the report. Please say aye.
Aye.
Councilman Churchill Assessor's Report.
Yeah, we accept the assessor's report as presented.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Any questions? All in favor, please say aye. Mr. Morel, anything to offer?
Nothing to report other than what is on the agenda.
Thank you. Councilman Avery.
I move we accept the monthly report for the water and sewer departments as submitted. Second?
Second.
Discussion? Joe's not here. We do that, but we do have one of the deputies here. Brian, is there?
Brian's here, yep.
Nothing to add. Nothing to add. Our new truck did arrive though. There's a water break north of town, just the other night, Monday night.
Auburn Road, right?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. What's the method that the residents get notified?
There is none.
Okay.
They call 911.
Is that, and they probably don't really, they shouldn't be, correct?
Well, I called 911, told them, but when I called them, they already had 72 phone calls.
Yeah, we may want to think about how we want to be able to communicate information like that to the public.
You know, I just put it out there, and somebody immediately asked, is there a boil water by it?
Well, that's the question.
Well, I mean, that would come out of the health department, the county health department, the boil water. And they would notify residents that there's a boil water restriction.
Okay, that's all.
But are you referring to the fact that it's 2 o'clock in the morning and the water broke, the main broke, and now people are out of water type of thing? Because this happened around 10 o'clock, right, Brian, I think?
9:30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that you're referring to as
Yeah,
far?
well, yeah, I mean, I found out when my granddaughter came downstairs and said, Grandpa, what are we supposed to do? There's no water coming out of the sink.
Yeah, I don't know.
I took a ride, didn't see any activity, didn't see any lights, didn't see anything, so I didn't know what was going on. I posted it out on Facebook, and someone got back to me and said that there was a water break. But, you know, it should be, and our website needs to be redone, but there should be a way to post that information so that people can.
Maybe one of the first things, Joe let me know, and probably let you know, because we're his committee. Maybe Joe should let all the board members know. I mean, that would help, because you're not caught in that position where you don't know an answer.
Yeah, but that would take care of a board member, but if we're talking about the residents, I mean,
Right, but then.
you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you can't flush the toilet or something, then obviously. I don't know, I mean, something we can certainly look into is how you would do that. Even if it was on the website, which it can be, obviously, that's still, I don't think people are gonna wake up in the morning and look, or wake up in the middle of the night and look at their website. You know what I'm
Well, if they knew they could get information there, they probably would. Or their phone. I mean, you know, websites are all on phones today. But, you know, let me give this, the school today, I mean, whoever has a student in school knows that you get a call, a text, when anybody, you know, does anything at the school. I mean, I probably get 6 to 8 calls a week from the school system. And perhaps one of those systems, I don't know what they cost, those phone blasts.
Connect that, it's called.
Yeah, I don't know if it's worthwhile, I don't know if we can piggyback on an existing one, I don't know if the county has one, I don't know what the school's doing, but they're certainly effective.
Connect that is, it's a communication system through automated phone calls. The superintendent would prepare a statement or something, and then it goes out to every parent or guardian in the district.
And you can do the same thing with the community. I don't know what the
So,
cost would be. But
certainly you can look into that and see what something like that costs. I think it's a great idea to have some type of communication, an emergency situation. I don't know what Connect that costs at the district level, but that'd be a great idea. You can report back to us in November and see how you make out there. That'd be a great idea.
no promises.
Pardon?
I said I will try to do that, but I'm not making any promises.
Okay. Later on the agenda, you'll see a motion to approve hiring a new position in water and sewer. You're going to see a motion for resignation in water and sewer, and then you're going to see a motion, another motion to advertise for the recent resignation. Okay. All in favor of the water and sewer report, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. Councilman DeLeus.
I move to accept the report as presented, and there is 50 cases pending out there right now for the court of justice.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Councilman DeLeus.
Move to accept the report as presented by the police chief, and currently we're down 2 spots right now. One is out disability, and one is moving on to another job. Police reform is moving forward with the community. There's a survey on the town and the PD website for police reform. If you've got questions there, if you have any questions or anything, you can go online and ask questions.
Chief, anything to add?
I do have a couple things. I do want to encourage the survey that's out there. It is on Finger Lakes 1 now. We just got it up on that, our town website, and the Seneca Falls Police Department website. Go in there. It is important to us. We are seeking feedback. It's anonymous, so you don't have to put your name or anything. We want to hear from everybody in the community, good or bad. This is county-wide. We've joined forces with Seneca County Sheriff's Department, Waterloo Police Department ourselves, but it does ask specific questions as to where your involvement with law enforcement is. So please go and do that and spread the word to your family to complete that as well. September 20th through the 26th was National Child Passenger Safety Week. I just want to remind everybody that we have 5 nationally certified car seat technicians within our department. And what that is that these officers are certified to be able to inspect and install a child's car seat correctly. It sounds a little silly, but if anybody's ever tried to put one of these in, and there's all different types of car seats, if you do not install it correctly, it could actually be more dangerous than not. So if you have one and you want to have one of our technicians inspect it or install it, call the office during normal business hours and make an appointment to do so. I would like to acknowledge Generations Bank again this year. They have donated $500 towards DARE, ironically with COVID, but previous to this year we were working on electronic version of DARE where the children use it on their computers and everything. It's actually going to be quite fitting this year with everything that's going on. But again, I'd like to thank Generations Bank for their continued donation and support for our DARE program in the school. I think there's one other thing. Oh, it's coming up. I know it's only October 1st, but November 1st is going to be here before we know it. And that's no parking on the streets. So if everybody could please remember that. November 1st, no parking. We will start out with warnings, but please let's not have us do that. We're just trying to be considerate and remind people for the first couple of weeks, but it is November 1st where you're not allowed to park on the streets overnight.
I need to add to that chief, you're going to a class October 28th, right?
Yes. Yep.
If you just, for me and for the public, if you would just touch on the prescription drug.
Oh, thank you. I was going to bring that
and
up too.
then also I'd be interested in hearing about the mental health iPad connection program.
Okay. So October 24th, we will be at Kinney Drugs, partnering with the DEA for National Drug Take-Back Day, Prescription Drug Take-Back. We will be there from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Kinney Drugs in Seneca Falls. There'll be a police officer there. Also, again, want to remind everybody we do have a prescription drop box in our office. You can come in during normal business hours, put them right into the drop box, no questions asked, put them right in there. We do not take any kind of needles or liquids or anything like that at either locations. The iPad, I mentioned this in a previous board meeting. We purchased an iPad and we partnered with Clifton Springs Mental Health and our local mental health services. And what this does is if we show up on a scene and somebody is suffering from a mental health crisis, we can call either what they call CPEP, which is Clifton Springs Mental Health, or a local Seneca County Mental Health. We can call them, they call into this iPad, and we can conduct a Zoom meeting where they can do an evaluation with a provider. it kind of takes a lot, so we have some training in this thing, but we're not trained doctors that deal with this all the time. So we can put an iPad, they zoom in, they do a complete conference, and then they tell us, you know, either this person has to have additional help or they can stay at home. What we're finding is about 80 to 90% of the time, these people can stay in their home. We don't have to transport them. We don't have to go through that difficult, awkward time where we're saying, no, you know, you need to come with us. We need to take you into the back of the police car, to the hospital to be evaluated. It's on their iPad. You know, 8 to 9 times out of 10, they're staying in their home. They're stable. It's good for us. It's good for them. It saves actually taxpayers money by not having us go all the way to Clifton Springs and back again, but that's really not the point. The point is just to provide a better service for people suffering from a mental health crisis.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? All in favor of accepting the police report for September, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Peter? Anything to add to the, well, I'm sorry, Peter. I make a motion that we accept the engineering report from B&L. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Peter, anything to add or pretty cut and dry or wrap
Actually,
things up?
I have one thing to add on a request to add to the agenda. This was we were hoping to make the agenda. It was not the RFP that I put together for Joe, for the water and sewer department for procurement of basically requesting a proposal for SCADA and system integration services. It's an RFP that we drafted. I worked with Pat and Joe to kind of complete that. We sent it over a couple weeks ago. It didn't make the agenda, but basically per Pat's guidance, we would need the town board would need to authorize issuance of the RFP. We'd send the RFP.
Excuse me, it's going to make the agenda real quick, okay?
Okay.
Steve, can I add after we do this, can I add 2 things more to the new business agenda now?
What's that?
And once they add 2 more.
We have to add this to the new business agenda, is that
Yeah,
okay?
I mean, at the end, if we have any new business that's not on the agenda,
We can do that. Okay,
That was it.
okay, thanks, Peter. All in favor of accepting the engineering report for the month of September, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? So carried. Thank you. I make a motion that we accept the MRB grant writing services report. Everyone received that. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Okay. Unfortunately, with the pandemic situation, a lot of our grants that we're trying to pursue for different major projects are on hold, but they are working on some other things, as you can see in the report. All in favor of the report, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. Councilman Avery.
Yeah, I move that we accept the Seneca Falls Development Corporation monthly report this is in.
Second.
Is Joelle here? She was.
No, she gave me something, Doug, if you don't mind, I'll read it.
Okay, all right.
She had an emergency. The 2020 foundation dedication was September 2nd, 2020. The FFDC worked closely with the New York Power Authority and Canal Corporation, the Governor's Office, and the town of Seneca Falls to coordinate a fountain dedication in celebration of the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment. The fountain was uplit in purple, gold, and white, colors representing the suffragist movements for about a week, and many people came during that week to see the fountain during the day and night. Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul, Gil Caronis, President and CEO of New York Power Authority, Colleen Jenkins, great-granddaughter Elizabeth Cady Stanton, David Stedlin, Vice President and General Manager of ITT Ghouls, spoke at the event. Huh. How about that? You left me out. I spoke.
He did. I was there.
Local collaboration was key to pulling off a successful event, and the FDC would like to formally recognize and thank the following people for all of their contributions, efforts, and assistance that made this event a success. The Seneca Falls Community Center, including Jim Spina, Missy, Aaron, Paul, Wyatt, and Dwayne, Chief Stu Pienstra, the Seneca Falls Police Department, Town of Seneca Falls for the support. Doug Avery, Jerry Goodnow, Kristen Gerlone, and SFDC board members, Bob and Linda McKebney, Fred and Denise Capozzi, Casey Calloway and Cafe 19, Joyce Senecropi and Senecropi Florist, Anthony Manzeri and the Gould Hotel, Generations Bake, including Lenzel Case and Kristen Gerlone, Seneca Falls Brass Quintet, Finger Lakes One for live streaming the event, Superintendent of Schools Jeremy Klingerman, Kim Stevers, and Deanna Swenson for coordinating student participation. The following Miners Academy seniors who kayaked near the fountain throughout the event: Macy Benz, Emily Cook, Alyssa Karsten, Alyssa Marley, Tristan Shell, Maya Soto, Latoya Sorrell, Raya Swenson, Nancy Trevidi, and Isabel Wager. Molly McKebney, Clevin, event coordinator. We never would have pulled this off without her event planning skills and remembering every last detail, plus being on site for the event. And of course, Greg Zallers, SFDC director, for all the logos, invitations, programs, signage, and one of the greatest things that we have all Seneca Falls Business Assist to be on the display. And certainly, Joelle Murray Kirsten deserves a lot of public recognition for coordinating all this. So, Joelle will share if she had to leave. Okay.
A couple of things then to add. First of all, the DRI, we still don't know. We're waiting with our, with pins and needles like everybody else to find out what the state is going to give us as that final list of almost $10 million of project. But we're at their mercy. So however long they're going to sit on it, we're going to have to wait. In the recreation center's monthly report, Jim Spina mentioned the success of the staycation, the kayak program, working with Fuzzy Guppies, and the fact that he would like to try to get something like that back for next year. Apparently, in Joelle's discussions with the state, there's a good chance that they would like to bring it back to us the next year. So it was so successful. We were the only of the 5 communities that got that staycation program paid for by the state. We were the only one that was not a city. So so we've developed a pretty good relationship with these people over the course of the season, and with any luck, they'll be back. I think that's it. Yeah, we're good.
Thank you. All in favor of accepting the SFDC report for the month of September, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? So carried. One other committee report to Phil Yunan. The Community Citizen Advisory Board, looking at the feasibility of the town manager's position. They met on September 15th for the first meeting, their first meeting right here. They meet again on October 21st. Meetings are open to the public and are held at the community center right here. The chairperson for that committee is Jerry Macaluso, and there's, I think, 13 other community members or 12 other community members on that. So if you're interested, as I said, they're all public meetings. Okay, can I have a motion to accept communications for the month of September?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Seconded?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. Old business, sale of surplus property. This relates to 10 Fall Street. Thank you.
Right now, we've got 10 Fall Street, 60 State, and 115 Fall. We've got some movement on 115, potentially, which we'll discuss later in the agenda. 60 State Street is somewhat caught up in the DRA process. And
10.
and 10, we had an RFP go out, which should be coming to an end.
It's due today.
Did we receive anything?
I don't think we did. Nothing right next week. So, Kat, we'd have to do that in new business to extend the RFP?
Yes.
Basically, in my conversation with Joelle and Doug and myself, there are some interested people. They're just holding off with obviously what's going on. type of thing. So there are interested people out there. So we'd have to do that in new business to extend that out, correct?
Yeah, we can talk about how you want to go about it, that's one option, you can just pull it and sit on it for a while. It's not like it's going.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea too.
But that's what that says.
Thank you. Old business, town demands related to SMI license, any update there?
We had some back and forth, I put together a letter to kick around, but we had some more things to look into, and we didn't get that squared away. So I think that's still hanging out there, right?
Okay. Barrett Street culvert.
Yeah, I got a little update here. This is what currently has transpired and is currently going on. Local land records are being searched to determine if any agency has accepted responsibility for maintaining the culvert. This is the culvert over by Farrar Alone. To date, nothing appears in the recorded land records whereby responsibility has been established. Research into New York State, former Seneca Falls Village, and town records. Absence documented responsibility, common law will control. This is an opinion I'm getting. Common law is clear in that whomever diverts water is responsible for any damage caused by the water. It is undisputed that the pond on the south side is owned by the state, and its water is being diverted through the culvert into the New York State Canal, which they also own. That is why the New York State Division of Canals annually conduct, well, we don't know if it's annually, but they're supposed to conduct maintenance at the culvert, inspections and maintenance in that area of the culvert. So we're still looking, still digging, but all signs are pointing that the state really is on the hook because they're diverting water through that culvert, which was there before the canal was ever built. And they own both sides of it. So we're still going, still looking at it. Does that make sense to you, Pat, at all?
Yes, it does. But again, it's the lack of evidence is what we're dealing with and trying to.
Well, but there is evidence. Evidence is they own one side. Evidence is they own the other side. Evidence is they have maintained in the past. Evidence is that if their lack of maintenance, and I think they've done a poor job here of late, can be shown to have resulted in damage to the culvert, even if we own it, then they would be responsible for that, I think.
Right, but if there was evidence of evidence of ownership in the land records.
Oh, that'd be better.
There are conversations.
Right. So hopefully we still get we can still find it.
Thought the deed shows Benton Pond is owned by the canal corp, right?
Correct. Benton Creek is owned by the
So
canal.
that's where the water's coming from, so.
Well, the water actually, correct me if I'm wrong, Peter, the water actually, there's water that goes through the canal also, right? I mean, there's, you know what I'm saying?
The culvert, the Benton Pond, effectively when they raised the canal, they created Benton Pond. That culvert drains what used to be a creek back in the late 1800s, was an open water channel. That's what flows, so it's openly connected to the canal, but the canal doesn't necessarily back into Benton Pond. I mean, Benton Pond and the canal are essentially the same level.
Got it. Okay. And in addition to that, I have met with, during this event, with the fountain and everything, and the celebration for the 100th anniversary, I met with Canal Corp gentleman informally. He was on vacation. We've exchanged numbers. We've talked. I met with Brian Stratton, who's a director on the Canal Corp, last week or 2 weeks ago. We're in touch. You know, their standard answer is we'll try to work with you as much as we can. It's not our responsibility, but at least they know it's on their radar at a different level at the Canal Corporation. And Brian Stratton put me in touch with the Canal Corp engineer, and hopefully I've reached out to him via email. He has not returned my email, but hopefully that'll happen also. So I'll keep you up to date on all that also. Okay?
But the report I'm getting is that it is their responsibility. So there'd be the rub. I mean, they can deny it, but.
Well, again, I'm not a lawyer or an engineer. You have one position and they have another position, and somebody like a judge would have to make that final decision, right?
But it's indisputable that it's their water at one end, it's their water at the other end, and it's their water that's caused the damage.
I agree. Hey, if we can make it happen, I'm all for it. I'm not opposed to it. I'm all for it.
I know that, Mike. I want them to pay for the whole repair, but, you know, if they end up paying for half of it or whatever, we're still better off. So we need to keep pursuing these channels. It's really, I mean, it's stable the way it is, as evidenced by the fact that they had a 40-ton crane sitting right on top of it as they cleaned it out a couple of weeks ago. So, and it didn't go through. So we're not in a rush.
Where's the state senator and the state assemblyman stand?
I'm sorry?
Where does the state senator, Ann Helming, and the state assemblyman, Brian Kolb, stand on this? That's what they're here to do to help.
And we've met with them, Peter and I have met with them. They are, you know, where they stand is do they support it, or support our position? They support our position, but and they introducing a bill on the floor to provide the funding to repair it? No.
I think it's time to pressure them.
Yeah, and they've contacted the Canal Corporation and so forth. So, yeah. We'll see how it plays out. Hopefully it'll be all, you know, there won't be any issues, and, you know, hopefully the state says, oh yeah, you're right, by the way, and give us whatever it takes. Okay, and I already covered Town Manager Feasibility Committee, Kingdom Road Sewer Main Update. Have we had a chance to meet with the engineer?
No, and I want to speak to this because this is a new board. The 414-318 sewer project and the transport of the sewage down to our waste station has been ongoing for several years now, and with prior boards. And the presentation of all those options and all the details surrounding that, you know, as far as running it down Fall Street or Ledevico Trail or whatever the options were presented to previous boards, and not this board. Dawn and I are new to this board, and any presentation this board ought to be up to date, brought up to date. I mean, I've talked a little bit to some folks on the board, and, you know, they haven't been updated in really quite a while, and potentially there's new options on the table. Whatever's presented shouldn't be done between Peter and I. It should be done in public, because I may have some questions. And my questions may lead others on the board to have questions of their own, even if they saw the presentation a year ago. So I'm not going to meet privately with Peter, and I would like to see this board request that we be brought up to date and refreshed about our options.
I agree 100%. You can call a special meeting. Okay, that's the will of the board, is to call a special meeting. You can have a special meeting with the engineer. Special meetings are made public, okay? And yeah, get brought up to date. I won't attend it only because I'm up to date. I don't need to do it all over.
So you don't want to hear, if I have some questions, you're not interested.
I'm interested in your questions. I can't answer them. I can't answer them. Okay? But anyway, certainly you have the right as a board member to have a special meeting. I've been talking about it for 3 months. Have a special meeting. Let's get it done.
Well,
Well, it has to be a special meeting of the full board.
I would probably want to attend simply to get, you know, a refresher. But also, it's occurred to me that by the time I got on the board, Fall Street was off the table. And so I remember your comparison between the Sculpture Trail and Baird Street. But now the Sculpture Trail is off the table and Fall Street is presumably back on. And so for me, it's a whole new comparison. So I need to see it too.
Okay.
And as soon as we do that, then we've got a quorum, so it's got.
I think October is a pretty busy month with budget hearings and so forth. I would suggest you look at your calendars. I think the special meeting would be in December. Okay, I don't see how we could do it any other time quicker. November is a busy month with budget and so forth. But if you look at your calendars, Steve, if you want to facilitate putting a date out there to the rest of the board, and then in November we can call for a special board meeting, or yeah, in November, and then set it up. Do a good idea? All for it.
But you will not attend.
Yeah, depends. My wife's birthday.
Okay. All right, I mean, that's fine.
No, if you facilitate the date with me, if it works, I'll be there.
Yeah, I certainly, I think you should be there as the supervisor of this town.
If you think I should be there, then I will absolutely be there.
Wonderful.
Okay? Okay.
Peter, you have all that anyway, so I can all on, you show it on the screen, right? You ready?
Whatever the format is, if it's here, I mean, historically what we've done is a projector and a PowerPoint. It's, you know, there won't be a lot of updates to it, but you know, there's been some additional things Mike's tasked us with. But yeah, it's whatever format works, wherever we are, we'll accommodate on what that is. So let me know, and then we're more than happy to discuss it.
Now, what I would like, before we have this meeting, is I would like to receive the material, if that be, you know, PowerPoints or whatever, so that we can review it and thereby be ready to ask some questions. Okay, I mean, I really don't want to show up at a meeting and just get all this data for the first time, and then expect that that's the meeting that's going to define everything, and we're going to make a decision. It's not the way it should work. I would love to see the information, so I can get a list of questions, we can schedule the meeting, and then we can discuss our options.
Okay.
Yeah. So I will reach out to you for that.
Okay.
You know, that's on.
Okay, very good. Any additional items need to be added to the new business agenda? I would like to add presentation of the tentative budget to the board.
Except for that,
Oh,
except for the budget.
except for the presentation of the tentative budget?
Yeah.
You want me to do that now, but not the other one?
No.
We didn't do that one yet either.
That's cheap.
That's what?
G, between F and G.
Well, there's a difference between the preliminary budget and the tentative budget. There's a difference. Okay?
We have to introduce the tentative budget.
So today I'm supposed to, you have the tentative budget. I presented that to you. So but that needs to be a formal new business segment. So there is going to be an F1 presentation of the tentative budget, and when we get to that, I'll do that. Okay. Thank you, Nikki. New business, make a motion to approval of special events.
Make a motion, we accept it.
Second, please.
Second.
Thank you. Just one, I think.
Yeah, that's all there is one.
Yep.
And that is.
Seneca Falls United Methodist Church, Church World Service Methodist Church, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Their bazaar in the park.
Where, Nikki?
It's gonna be across the street in the park on State
Canada
Street.
Square.
Kennedy
Where the
Square.
fountain is? Okay, yep. Somebody asked it. Okay, good. All right. So that's the only one. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. I need a motion for the proposed local law number 5 of 2020. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Now we're going to hold up and we'll go to the count.
Yes, I'm going to recommend that B, C, and D on the agenda. All of those will need to be referred to the county planning board under the general municipal law for them to chime in on it. And as we carry those over till next month, you get them on their agenda for this.
I hope we can. The deadline was yesterday
There you go.
for this month.
We'll see what they
I'll
have to
see
say.
if I can tomorrow talk to them.
Yep.
Okay.
Do I need a motion for that, Mr. Attorney?
Not necessarily. I mean, they've got to be referred one way or the other. I mean, we could just table them and carry them over to the next one.
Okay. Motion to table all three?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed. That's carried 4-1. I'm confused.
Okay. So, whenever.
Why are they on the agenda in the first place if they have to be approved by the county? I thought we approve them and then move them. Man, I told you last month, there's a little button on there called the silencer. You just hit that button, it won't ring. But, I mean, if it's gotta be approved by the county, why wouldn't it be approved first before, why don't we accept them and then move forward? Or not accept
It
them?
was kind of the same situation with getting them on their agenda for last month.
Why are they on the agenda now then? Okay.
So, I mean, it's
All right.
got to be referred up before we can act on it.
Okay, I'm still, but anyway. Cover funds from 2021. Okay, I have a resolution for the water sewer superintendent Joe Tuller would like to encumber from 2020 budget into the 2021 budget the following accounts. Excavator, raw pH, excavator 35,000, raw pH adjusted force 470,000, SCADA update 20,000, backtrack encumbered 100, Fall Street pump station encumbered 75, and Water Street pump station encumbered 100,000. Can I have a motion for that, please? Second. Any discussion? This is just encumbered funds in the 2020 budget moving forward because they haven't had a chance to complete the projects and take care of everything. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? So carried. Okay. We should come up with a November meeting date because our regular scheduled meeting November 3rd is election day. Town Clerk Greer informs me that usually when that happens, we usually go to the Wednesday, which would be November 4th. It would also be when we would have the public hearing for the 2021 budget prior to the regular meeting. Okay? So is there anybody have an issue with Wednesday, November 4th?
I do.
Patrick does.
When
Okay.
does the budget need to be?
Okay, you can have it any time on or by the Thursday after election.
So it's got to be on or before the Thursday.
Thursday.
So it's can only be Wednesday or Thursday. It can only
It could
be
be Monday, Wednesday, or Thursday.
Monday the 2nd, Wednesday the 4th, or Thursday the 5th.
Right.
Okay. Pat, can you make Monday the 2nd?
If they have it here, because it's court.
Yeah, I can do that.
You sure?
Yeah.
Yeah, court.
Is Monday the 5th better for you? Or,
Thursday.
I'm sorry, Thursday the
Thursday.
5th?
Thursday the 5th is probably better for me.
How about Thursday the 5th for everyone else?
Sounds good.
Okay, so
Thursday, November 5th.
please make that part of your calendar. Public, please understand that's the November meeting, and the preliminary budget with the public hearing for the budget will be on that day prior to 6 o'clock, prior to the regular meeting. And that meeting will be right here. It's 6, okay. All right. I'm required as the Chief Financial Officer of the town to provide you with a tentative budget for 2021. Bev and the department heads have been working for the last 3.5 weeks, putting together their proposal and so forth. Bev and I have been working together. So everyone has a tentative budget. I strongly suggest you go through it in detail. If you have any questions, you certainly can ask me or Bev directly, and she would be able to help you out as well. Just kind of an overview for the public. The tentative budget is $13,025,250,000 roughly. It's down from $14,701,000 in 2020. That's the spending, okay? It's not because massive cuts have been made. It's because we have not put money into the reserves yet until the board makes decisions on that. Currently, there was about an average of 8% cut across the board by the department heads. I've asked them for 10%. They work very hard to get where they are. During our budget workshops, everyone will have an opportunity to talk to each department head and ask them any questions. And then after we do that, then some hard decisions are going to have to make, okay? And just so everyone knows, there are 3 public hearings, or excuse me, 3 budget workshops scheduled. The first one is October 6th. The second one is October 20th. And the third one is October 26th. All those meetings start at 5:30, and all those workshop meetings will be held at the town hall in the court, not here, okay? So October 6th, October 20th, October 26th, 5:30, town hall, okay? Those are open to the public. Town board members, I suggest you get yourself prepared. I don't remember off the top of my head who was up first. Jim, are you up first, or you and Joe switched, or I can't remember?
The 20, I'm up on the 20.
20th. Stu, you remember, you're up on the 6th? Okay. And I invited Joelle to come on the 6th to talk about some requests that she has for the Seneca Falls Development Corporation, in case you have any questions there as well. Okay. Any questions on the public here, or the workshop dates? Okay. So this current tentative budget that I've given you represents per thousand rate of $14.77. It's a 43% increase on the tax rate. It's about a 44% tax increase for people who live in the old town, 43% tax increase for people living in the old village. Again, this is tentative. Some decisions will have to be made where you want to appropriate revenue, non-tax revenue. Okay. Last year's budget, about $1.4 million of landfill money was built right into the budget. Okay. If you decide to go in that direction, that will significantly reduce the tax rate for our residents. But you're going to have to make that decision as you move forward in the process. Okay. Last year, about $690,000 was allocated for the highway department from landfill revenue. Parks and Recreation's budget was revenue from the landfill was allocated here, and Vince's Park revenue from the landfill was allocated for that also, from that revenue. Take away that revenue, then the burden for the revenue comes through taxation. Okay, so that's what this tentative budget looks like, whether you're going to make a decision to use that revenue for specific things. As we move forward, okay, some hard decisions, I'm not saying in 2021, but as we move forward, hard decisions will have to be made when the lack of revenue is missing. You can't continue as we are continuing and provide the same services as we're continuing as we do. You won't be able to continue to do your capital improvement projects as we go forward. Okay? So services that are provided will either have to make those cuts, or increase taxes to keep the same level of services. So those are the decisions that, as we move forward to 2025, that we're going to have to be made.
You gotta remember too, we've had, the dissolution money's been cut back.
20%.
We had about 3 or 4.
Yep. Yep. We don't get state aid, but you're absolutely right. Our disillusion money, the incentive aid they call it, was cut back 20% this year. The payment usually comes in September. We did get the payment, minus 20%. Okay. You have to understand that, as I've been saying all along, COVID-19 is going to have a major ripple effect on everybody in this country, and in particular New York State. Okay, New York State is $59 billion in debt at the moment. Okay, they're going to continue to cut aid. They're going to continue to cut aid to local school districts. They're going to continue to cut aid at the county level. County deficit's probably down $7 million, $6 to $7 million. We'll find that out pretty soon due to the loss of taxation, due to the reduction of the casino. So it's a ripple effect. So I strongly believe at the town level, if we can provide tax relief to our town residents as much as we can, and we're in a position to do that, then we should do that. That's just my personal opinion, okay? Because they're going to be getting hit all over the place if they're working. If they're working. Okay? So, if you have any questions on that information, as I said, as you go through the budget, certainly reach out to Bev or myself, and we can answer any questions, but our first budget workshop will be October 6th.
I think I've reached out twice, right?
I'm sorry.
I've met with her twice already, huh?
Yep.
Okay. And talked to a couple department heads.
Okay. So preliminary budget hearing set public hearing date. That date will be Thursday, November 5th. Okay. I'm giving you the budget workshops. So that's all taken care of.
Don't we have to have a motion
For the
public hearing?
Probably do right that. Okay, can I have a motion that we establish the public hearing for the preliminary budget for November 5th, 2020. Have a motion for that?
Second.
Anybody opposed? Please say aye.
Aye.
Can I have a motion for public or budget workshop meetings that begins at 5:30 on October 6th, October 20th, and October 26th, 5:30 p.m. at 130 Ovid Street, Seneca Falls. Can I have a motion for that? Second, any discussion on that? All in favor? Please say aye. Okay. Nikki, do we have the bids?
No.
We're advertising for the bid.
Peter Baker, we did advertise.
The bid openings was deferred till this Monday, actually.
One bid?
Monday, it'll be Monday.
Oh, Monday.
Yes.
Okay.
It was moved then.
Yeah, it was originally scheduled for this time frame. We had a couple things we had to address. We only had good bidders and enough time
That
to
will be this Monday. We
get
can-
it.
So do I have to table that, or?
Yes.
Okay. Make a motion to table the opening of bids for the Auburn Road Water Tower Backup Generator.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye. So Peter, or Pat, I should say, should we want to move on this sooner than later?
I think so. We will open bids if we can, and I guess that's if there's additional meetings. Typically, the process is we open the bids, we award to the lowest responsive bidder. We anticipate we'll probably have 5 or 6 bidders on this project. There's been a lot of interest. We can turn, it's a simple project. We can turn that around pretty quickly. So if we could incorporate that into maybe one of the budget hearings.
Well, that's what I was going to say. If we did it, do we have enough time to do it on October? You need 7 days, right? So we don't have enough time to do it on October 6th, right?
No, we would. The project's been bid. It's been advertised. Everything's done.
Everything's done. So we can open them up and award the bid?
We will be, what will happen is we'll review them, we'll make a recommendation to award, and then essentially there's at that point in time, the board will make a recommendation to award the bid to whoever the low bidder is, and then we'll kind of kick into that contract process.
So we can do that October 6th, you think?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So if we're gonna do that, we're gonna call that, I mean, at least part of that workshop will have to be a public meeting with notice and posting the date and time, which you're gonna do anyway for the budget, but we would need to advertise that as a public meeting, for that purpose.
Okay, Nikki, can you do that?
Oh, wait a minute, October 6th?
October 6th, 5:30?
I don't think we can get in.
You don't have time.
That's what I was asking, we need 7 days,
Yeah.
that's what I was asking.
No, it's a matter of getting it to Finger Lakes Times on time. Tomorrow's Friday.
Well, you can do it the
Won't be in
20th or
until
the,
Monday.
you could do it at the 20th or the 26th meeting. So
Yeah,
it's
we
just,
can do
you know, we can't really prove it. Yeah, I mean, that would work, right?
Whatever, the sooner the better.
Yeah, I mean, I know, I want to get it done sooner or later, but if we can't do it on the 6th, then we have to do it on
I'm
the
trying to
20th.
figure if we can get it in on time, so the earliest it can be in the Finger Lakes Times,
Yeah.
if I get it in tomorrow morning by 10, is Monday.
About Saturday.
I mean, is that time
It
sensitive?
will be in Saturdays.
It is.
It's got to be done by any specific date.
It'll probably be in Monday.
Is that, Tad, is there a limit that you have to advertise it for, or it has to be?
Well, is this an emergency or anything like that, or can this sit to the
It's not an
point?
emergency, it certainly probably what I did here is you may need to encumber the funds because the reality is the project may extend to 2021. I think that's gonna happen if you award on the 6th, you award on the 20th.
Okay. All right, so let's do it for the 20th.
Let's do it
Okay?
for the 20th, we'll get it all lined up.
Okay. All right. Could I have a motion for the appointment of 2 Recreation Commission members?
So moved.
Thank you. Be it resolved that after conducting 3 applicant interviews, the Seneca Falls Parks and Recreation Commission and the Town Board Recreation Committee recommend that the Seneca Falls Town Board approve the following residents as alternate members of the Seneca Falls Parks and Recreation Commission: Victoria Clark, 291 East Barrett Street Extension, and Christina Abe, 20 Lely Drive. Ms. Abe will serve the remainder of the 5-year term that ends on 12/31/2020, and Ms. Clark will serve the remainder of a 5-year term that ends on 12/31/24. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. Discussion reopening of Vince's Park Pavilion. Jim, I think, wanted this on there. We had it closed because of COVID.
Can I make a motion that we go to in November?
We have a motion to do what, Dave?
Table.
Table up to the, and let go to the end of November.
Okay.
Table it to the November meeting.
November
Or
meeting.
keep it closed.
End of November.
Okay, well, we have a motion, Dave. Was it seconded?
Wait a minute, it's motion to keep it closed until the end of November.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
Right now, it's the end of October.
Correct. Good. So the motion is to keep Vince's Park Pavilion closed until the end of November, which is November 30th. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Discussion.
Is there, are there events scheduled for November that?
Well, he's thinking people might call for December Christmas party meeting.
Right, but there's nothing that he's trying to get open for
No.
in November, okay?
Not right now. And I sent him a email yesterday. Roby makes a fogger that just sprays but doesn't affect. And he emailed me back today that he thought it was a good idea and he was going to check into it. So in an area like that or here, just fog everything and be all set.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. Have a motion to fill labor, water, sewer department, a labor position for the water and sewer department. Have a motion to entertain that resolution. Second. The resolution reads, whereas the town board has approved advertising for a laborer's position in the water sewer department due to Michael Bradley's resignation, the department conducted 3 interviews for the position. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Seneca Falls does hereby authorize the appointment of Eric Matthews of Seneca Falls. The start date will be October 20th, 2020, at a pay rate of $18 per hour. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Could I have a motion to accept the resignation of part-time cleaner Laura Dickinson? Motion? Second?
Second.
To whom it may concern, this is dated September 2nd, 2020. Effective September 19th, 2020, I will resign my position as cleaner here at the town of Seneca Falls Municipal Building and Police Department. I thank you all for the opportunity to work for you and work with you. I'm sorry. Submitted Wednesday, September 12th. Sincerely, Laura Dickinson. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I just thank you for the service you did.
Absolutely. I was just going to say that we would like to, well, the Parks and Recreation people have been filling in the meantime, and I'd like to thank Laura for years of dedication to the town of Seneca Falls, and wish you the best of luck in your future endeavor. Thanks, Dave. Could I have a motion to appoint a part-time cleaner for the town offices at 130 Over Street? Could I have a motion for that, please? Second, be it resolved that the town of Seneca Falls hired Curtis Gibbons for the position of cleaner 1 on a part-time basis at the rate of $14.10 per hour. Be it further resolved that this position will be 25 hours per week during the hours of 2 to 7 p.m. We had one applicant. Chief Peenstra and Aaron Pasalaco, who was building and grounds, and myself interviewed this one applicant. I've been doing I did some reference checks. Curtis is a retired person who worked in the City of New York School District as a cafeteria person and a cleaner. So his reference checked out and so forth. And we reduced the position to 25 hours. The purpose of that was to keep it under 30 hours to save the taxpayers money, not eligible for health benefits, which with this particular applicant, it's not an issue. He has health benefits through his former job and so forth. Any questions?
When would he begin?
I'm sorry?
When would he begin?
He's going to begin, if we approve it, he'll begin Monday. That's it.
And Aaron's going to be less than November, right?
Correct. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. Whereas the Highway Department would like to purchase a 72-inch soil conditioner for Bobcat of the Finger Lakes for the sum of $7,359.84. Whereas this attachment will replace the old one that we have at the moment. This attachment is used for restoration on a lot of highway, water, sewer, rec center projects. Therefore, be resolved that the Seneca Falls Town Board hereby authorize the purchase of a 72-inch soil conditioner from Bobcat of the Finger Lakes for the sum of $7,359.84. This attachment is under the New York State contract. This money is in the budget as for this attachment. Can I have a motion for this resolution?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? If you do, Jim can probably answer them. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. So carried. Resolution to request review of the speed limit on George Road, whereas whereas the town board of the town of Seneca Falls and the town of Seneca Falls Highway Superintendent believe that it's in the best interest of the town and residents for the speed limit on George Road to be lowered, and whereas the New York State Vehicle and Traffic Law, Section 1622, states that such change may be made by the New York State Department of Transportation after a request for review by the town board and the county superintendent of highways, and now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Seneca Falls hereby requests under Vehicle and Traffic Law, Section 1622, the New York State Department of Transportation to conduct a review of the speed limit on George Road and establish a lower speed limit. Could I have a motion for that, please?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. George Road was just part of our paving project this year. It's not a heavily occupied road, but the road was in such poor condition that it was beating up our snowplows. So that's why Jim handed on the rotation for paving. If you don't know where George Road is, it connects 5 and 20 going east to Gravel Road, and there's a couple of hairpin turns in the road, and now that it's paved, our fear is going to become a much more dangerous situation. So the New York State Department of Transportation has the authority to do this. We're just giving them the resolution says that basically we'd like them to review it. They will have the final answer. Okay.
Ultimately, Nikki, after this, if this is adopted, attached to the resolution is the form that they use.
I see that.
So if you could package up your certification with the resolution and get this, you want to just get it right up to the county, or do you want it back to you?
I can take it up and give it to Roy.
Why don't we get it to Jim? And get that back.
I'll go to you, Nikki, on that.
Okay.
Perfect.
And I don't have to sign it, right?
There's no spot for the.
Good. Perfect. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? So carried. Can I have a motion, please, to provide retroactive pay adjustments and changes for the highway department workers? Motion for that, please?
Second.
And discussion.
Can we, there's the retroactive pay, but there's also some adjustments to the work classification and so on. It's all at the bottom of the page. Can we batch these? Or do we get if we approve the retroactive pay, we haven't addressed some of these other issues. So
I'm just reading what they tell me to read. I don't know. So should we make the motion to for retroactive play and request 1 through 6 from the personnel department? I guess we can do that and then have a discussion. That sounds about right, Matt?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. I need a motion to provide retroactive pay for the years 2018, 2019, 2020 for the highway department, and for items 1 through 6, which are recommendations from the personnel committee. Have a motion for that, please? And a second? Second. Discussion. I can give you the general background, and then Doug and Dave can fill you in on the rest. The highway department in 2018 was attempting to unionize with the Teamsters, and they were in negotiations with the former town board. There was never any resolution or contract. In the meantime, our other town employees, based on the town's matrix and so forth, and board approval of pay increases each year, we're receiving increases, and the highway department has not received any at all, based on the fact that they were in negotiations with the Teamsters. When the new board came in office in 2020, the highway department decided that they didn't want to be part of the Teamsters anymore, and they opted, they started the process of moving out of under the Teamsters jurisdiction in January. Because of COVID and because of some paperwork that wasn't filed correctly, that didn't happen until late August. So here we are. Bev and Dave and Doug have been working on the numbers and so forth, and that kind of like it in a nutshell. Dave and Doug, you got a better history than I do.
No, that's it as far as the retroactive pay. But we're also looking to refine place the MEO positions, that item number 1 there in the matrix, and then formally reclassify 2 laborers as light MEOs, which this is number 4 positions establish that in the county. We've already done some of this but we've not completed the process. These are the other steps we need to do. And this is really just, it's expanding the number of job classifications for the equipment operators to tailor it better to what Jim's got there, what he needs.
Questions? Number 5, adjust the deputy highway superintendent position to $3,120 annually beginning January 2021. Help me out with that one.
It's basically to bring the highway deputies' pay in line with what the water and sewer deputies are getting. And it hasn't been that way, and again, it was frozen. And so it's bringing all our deputies in line with each other.
Was he in line, or she in line, prior to 2018?
I wasn't here. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm getting this.
Yeah, he was getting deputy pay, just $1,000, but then when they changed water and sewer deputies over to the 31,120, we couldn't do it. We tried to do it for the deputy on the highway, but it was under negotiation, so they said couldn't do it.
Okay, but what I'm saying, in 2018, some board made a decision that we're going to pay the deputy supervisors from water, sewer, and highway. We're not going to do a stipend anymore. We're going to pay them. It used to be $1,000 stipend. It went up to $3,000 stipend.
Yeah.
Somebody in, right?
Yeah.
Am I following that correctly?
Yeah, but they would not vote for the deputy at highway because negotiations were going on in the state.
And do we have job descriptions for the deputy highway?
Oh, yes.
Or deputy water or deputy sewer?
Yes.
We have job descriptions? Okay, I've never seen one. I'd like to know what they're doing above and beyond that constitutes
Well, they
$3,000.
take over for whatever Jim or Joe does when they're absent.
Like if Jim is sick, the deputy supervisor takes over
Yep, the deputy takes over.
for $3,000 some $100 a year. Okay, so again, I just want, we can't keep spending and spending and spending if you're going to keep cutting in revenue and revenue and revenue. You're going to have to make some hard decisions, and the decisions you make tonight, they're not just one-year decisions. They affect for the life of the employee. Okay, they're not just one-year decisions.
And those other deputies been getting that for like a couple of years.
Well, I would have voted no on that if I was on the board. I would have voted no for that as well. Again, that's just my thoughts.
A couple of things. I'm not sure I've ever seen job descriptions for the deputies either. So, but if they do exist, we need to see them, and if they don't, we need to develop them.
Well, it always was the deputy takes over.
Well, I know
Department that is done.
that's the assumption, but I'm looking for a document that says what he does, or she does. And I'm not sure that exists, I've never seen it.
We went through a whole list, I don't have it, I got home my other folder, of what Jim's duties are, right? And with the deputy takes over if he's gone on vacation or out sick.
Would assume all those duties. I mean,
It assumes all the
it's not
duties.
all that.
So that is the job description, it's simply assumed.
Assume the duties of the supervisor in their absence.
But don't they have supervisory duties on a day-to-day basis?
They can.
I'm asking you, and Brian's here too.
Yeah, I think day to day.
Yeah.
Every day.
So I think there's more to it than simply when Jim or Joe is out sick. So I'd like to see us
Well,
develop
with
this
that,
document.
whether they have assistant supervisory responsibilities even when Jim's there, that should be spelled out in their regular job description, correct? If they're the assistant supervisor.
Right, we're saying there is not a job description.
And you're saying it's not in, nothing's in.
Not that I've ever seen. So, and there should
So,
be.
Bev, are you aware of any job description for deputy supervisor?
so I think it's fair to say the assumption is they don't provide assist.
I don't think there's one for the water and sewer.
I don't know if there's one for water and sewer either. I don't know.
Yeah, there is. Joe has one for that.
Joe has one?
For all three positions, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And then as far as the salary, the stipend, you know, again, this is bringing the highway superintendent, deputy up to the other two because it could not be done at the same time as the other. So this is simply, I understand your concerns about the money, but this is a question of this is really just like all the other parts of this. This is to make amends for the fact that their salaries were frozen for 2 years. And so that.
I understand it's attempt to make it equitable, and I had no control because I wasn't on the board in 2018. I'm on the board in 2020, and now I do have some vote, okay? And then I would say, Don, you're being underpaid because you're the deputy supervisor. You should be getting at least $3,000 extra stipend instead of this.
Talk about that at the budget time.
We can't afford this.
Brian is waving his hand.
I'm not recognizing him for a reason. Yes, sir.
If you approve that, does that mean the other deputies get a vehicle to drive?
If the board approves this, the other what?
Do the other deputies get a vehicle to drive? Personal, home, whatnot?
I can't hear you, but I'm hard of hearing. My hearing aids aren't working.
The highway deputy has a vehicle at his own use. The other deputies don't have a vehicle to drive. Off hours. And we can call them a lot more times than they do.
So you're saying based on equity, if it's the same salary, then you should have a vehicle too?
Well, I would rather say that his $1,000 plus a vehicle is equal to the $3,000.
Oh, I see, good point. Very good point.
Or community truck.
Or take the truck back.
Well, I would take a truck back. I don't know.
Jim, the deputy supervisor has his own vehicle?
Yes, he takes that vehicle home at night, we get called in, and he comes in with it, especially in the wintertime. Tim runs one side of the town, and I run the other side. When we
You
check
get called
the
in
roads.
because it's snowing out?
Pardon me?
Called in because it's snowing out?
No, we check the roads and stuff.
He's checking the roads.
Right.
Got it,
He checks one half, I check the other.
got it.
That's for all, like, the street lights are out. Those guys are riding around at night. I mean, their day shift is done, but they're riding on the light, turning it in, so the guys.
But riding around the truck, checking the streetlights?
Yeah.
Well, I would make a suggestion that you check your old ward, I'll check my old ward, you check your old ward, you check your old ward, I'll make that suggestion. I don't think we need to drive around checking the lights. Sorry, okay? I'm not a big vehicle per employees anyway, not a big guy on that anyway. No, I never had a vehicle. I was on 24/7 call, 365 days a year. I never had a vehicle. I took my own.
Neither did I.
Okay, well, my point. It's not our money, it's their money. It's their money, it's not ours.
I'd like to call a question. Make a motion to call the question.
Sure.
We get a second.
I know.
Well, now we gotta take a vote on the call.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
All right, now we gotta vote on it.
Wait a minute, who's opposing?
Me.
Now you gotta call a vote on this.
I know. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. So carried. Okay, have a motion here, the town board received a resignation letter from Timothy Lopes. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Seneca Falls Town Board does hereby accept Timothy's resignation. The letter says, I regret to inform you that I'm putting in my 2-week notice effective today. My last day will be October 12, 2020. Can I have a motion for this resolution?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thank you, Mr. Lopes. Best of luck to you and your future endeavors. I have a resolution for water and sewer to advertise for a laborer position, whereas the vacancy in the water and sewer department exists due to the resignation of water and sewer maintainer Timothy Lopes, whereas the department needs to fill his position. Therefore, be resolved that the town of Seneca Falls Board does hereby authorize advertisement for a laborer position in the water sewer department. Have a motion for this resolution, please?
So moved.
Second? Any discussion?
Yeah, I think, under the circumstances, I'd like to wait until after we've talked, have Joe come in with his budget presentation and see why this department needs to fill this position. Maybe we need to look at filling positions from the immediate future at least. And maybe we can hold off on this. And if he was here tonight, maybe we could resolve it, but since he's not.
In my discussion, I know that he said, okay, and that's, I don't disagree with you at all. In my discussion, he said that it's a needed position, that would leave them shorthanded, but I'm not opposed to, you know, listening and finding out straight from the horse's mouth. I'm not opposed to that personally. It's up to you guys, don't matter to me.
I don't offense to any of our department chairs, but
I'm not sure that they have, I'm hoping for a laborer. They have to be a water sewer maintainer. We have to see what we have on file with the county, because with hiring the laborer you just hired, Mr. Matthews, they may not have an opening for a laborer. So you can't advertise for a position that doesn't
You don't
exist.
have.
They need to check to see first of all if there is.
Tim, with the water sewer maintainer, Brian?
Yeah,
Okay.
So we need to
I'm
check.
pretty sure Joe looked into that already. At the county level.
He did look into it?
He normally does, he knows those rules better than anybody around here. But-
So you're saying the possibility that there's,
Responsibility, we should check that before we decide which they're going to advertise for at least.
okay. Well, I don't remember when Joe was up on his budget meeting, budget workshop. Do you have that, Nikki, with you? Or not you, Nikki, Bradley, in my office, I know that. Okay.
I don't know. You say?
Pardon?
I think you mentioned it at the budget workshop when you mentioned.
Yeah, I don't think Joe's, you're the 20th?
20th. Joe's
Correct.
You're the 20th.
I
You were
think Joe went
originally,
to 26.
you guys switched, right?
I believe
So I
so.
think Joe's not until the 26th, Doug. Okay?
so we could talk to him then.
Then we can figure out with the county and so forth, okay? And Brian, that's gonna put you behind the 8 ball for a month,
Yeah,
probably?
it was gonna be the new meter reader. But,
I thought Eric was the meter reader.
well, not now.
Eric Matthews?
Eric, his skills above any meter reader.
But he's.
Well, I know, but he's gonna have to be able to utilize those talents until,
He will be, but, yeah. Then if you hire another guy, the new guy will be the meter reader, and you gotta train another guy. It's just a bad cycle. People are leaving because you're not paying them enough. The last 3.
okay. So I guess, can I have a motion to, I don't know, we had a motion to accept the advertisement, so I gotta take a vote on that, right?
We can withdraw the motion. We can
Withdraw the motion? Okay. Nikki, you know who made the motion? Did I?
I don't know.
Who made the second?
Check, a motion to what, advertise?
Yes. Go ahead.
Find it, hang on.
I think I did.
Take back the second, and take back the motion.
Good. I'd like to withdraw by whoever made the second, withdraw their second. If you want to do this, I mean, we want to wait until we get some better information and so forth? Or do you want to?
We're already going to be conducting some business on the 20th, right? So if he comes in, even though he's not till the 26th, we would talk to him on the 6th.
Okay, yep, that's good.
Have this conversation, check some of the loose ends, and get it done without having to wait until November 5th.
Okay, good idea. Okay.
Steve made the motion.
I made the who made the motion?
Steve made the motion and Dave Delela seconded.
So Dave, would you withdraw your second? Okay, Steve?
Withdraw the motion.
All right, so I'll talk to Joe and hopefully he can fill us in on the 6th, okay? Great. Okay, could I have a motion to appoint 4 people to the Heritage Area Commission effective January 1st, 2021? A motion, please. Second?
Second.
Thank you. The Heritage Area Commission was something that was very vibrant back when the village of Seneca Falls was in place, and then it remained vibrant for a few years after dissolution. But since then, it's been not very active. Rhonda Destino is here. Basically, we've been talking, her and Sheila and myself, and they feel strongly about bringing back the Heritage Area Commission. It's part of our laws, okay? It just hasn't been active, and because of Rhonda and Sheila, they've sparked the interest and so forth. And we have 4 names for you to approve to the commission. This, according to our laws, is supposed to be 5 people. They are still in search of the 5th. So right now, I'd like to approve Herb Holden for a 1-year term, Mary Grace for a 2-year term, John Tasami for a 3-year term, and Josh Clark for a 4-year term. And again, make this effective the 1st of January because it's so late in the year now, and they certainly can meet unofficially, but they would start officially meeting in January.
You tell Seneca Falls residents?
I'm sorry?
They're all
They're all Seneca Falls residents. I have bios on each of them, and they're all Seneca Falls residents. Okay. Any questions or concerns or discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. Okay, I need a motion for change order number 8, contract number 1A, general construction. Could I have a motion for that change order, please? Second? Discussion. Peter, you want to give us the Reader's Digest version?
This is the sewer rehab project. These are a couple outstanding items we had to close the project out. One was basically based on subsurface conditions during excavation, different types of pipe. We had took some time to kind of negotiate with the contractor because there was a substitution, there was a credit. The other is one last manhole. It's kind of unique that we are going to need some additional work. It's pretty significant kind of connection to the storm sewer. Basically, it's, the net is we're using the allowances within the project. And then finally, this includes kind of the final, I guess, the over-unders for the project. There were 60, 70 bid items here. So just to correct in the quantities, we ended up with a net delta of minus $10,000. So essentially, it's some additional work that needs to be done and overall adjustment to the contract value. So to kind of bring the contract number down about $10,000 or so.
Okay, thank you. Questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. We have a motion to introduce a resolution to propose local law number 8 and to provide for a public hearing. Local law number 8 would be to override the tax levy limit established in General Municipal Law 3C. Have a motion for that, please? Second, discussion. This is just to protect ourselves on advice of attorney. Basically, if we have to override the tax ceiling, there has to be a local law on the books to do that. Hopefully, we won't be there. I don't really anticipate that, but that goes part of our decision-making as we get into the budget. Right now, I believe if we adopted the current tentative budget that you were presenting tonight, we're $1,400,000 over the tax limit, or the 2.5% threshold. So this is just protection for the town board and the town residents. It's just a formality.
And part of this resolution is to set the public hearing at the date of the next meeting, which we now know is
November
5. So Nikki, if you could add that into the, we'll have the space for it.
So whereas the town board of the town of Seneca Falls believes it would be advantageous to the town to override the tax levy limit proposed by General Municipal Law 3C, whereas now therefore it be resolved that the proposed local law number 8 of the year 2020, a local law to override the tax levy limit established in General Municipal Law 3C, and the same is hereby introduced before the town board. Be it further resolved that the town board will hold a public hearing on said proposed local law at the town offices 130, good thing I'm quick, 130 Oakwood Street, Seneca Falls, New York, at 6 p.m.
I might have borrowed this from
You might have, yeah. Actually, oh yeah, never mind. Excuse me.
Got it, okay? All in favor, please say aye. Anybody opposed? So carried.
Don't go to 1435 Prospect Street.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the resolution, the IMA agreement, intermunicipal agreement, routes 318, 414 sewer system. Have a motion for that resolution, please? I can't have a discussion unless you have a motion, guys and ladies. So moved, thank you. Second? Okay, discussion. As Steve alluded to earlier, this has been something that's been going on for a long time. The 318 quarter sewer is county owned. The 414 sewer was basically owned by the IDA, and the IDA agreement is to turn it over to the county. It requires 3 municipalities to agree to everything, and that would be the town of Tyre, the town of Seneca Falls, and the town of Juniors. It's been going on a long time. Pat's been involved in it. Anytime you have engineers and lawyers involved, it takes a lot of time. So anyway, just kidding. Anyway, we finally have hammered it out, and this is the IMA agreement. Pat has been working on it, so if you have any questions, Pat can fill you in on anything else. But basically, it's just an intermunicipal agreement. We get paid from the users a rate of 150% of their usage, and you know, this is the casino is on the 414 quarter, Petro. There's the car dealership, the new apartments on 318 around the 414 sewer line, and there's some other businesses. Basically, the new Love's truck stop will come on board with that as well, and hopefully more businesses and residents will be coming on board as well.
One question, Pat, have all the easements ever been getting done that the IDA never had?
Yeah, that was part of the thing, that they never got their proper easements back when they were supposed to. And cleaning that up was part of what needed to happen, and that has been done.
Okay.
And so that is, the turn over the line is, this will make that possible. You know, that still hasn't happened yet, but this sets the ground rules between the 3 towns and the county and the IDA.
And before the county takes it over, there need to be some immediate repairs in the tune of about $43,000. And then there are some secondary repairs that need to be done probably 5 to 10 years, within 5 to 7 years down the road. So once this is approved by all the municipalities in the county and the IDA, then the 414 will have some operation and maintenance fees in it that will cover some of those repairs and so forth as we move forward.
It's 43,000 we got paid now.
Pardon?
We're liable for 43,000.
No liability for the town of Seneca Falls. No. We're not, no, we're not at all. The O&M would pay for those expenses over a year period. Okay? Seneca Falls, we collect usage fees. That's what we do. We collect usage fees to our water and sewer clerk's office, and the users pay 150% rate compared to what you and I pay. Mr. Jones.
Yeah, a question, maybe tying into Steve's earlier question on sewage coming into our community, whether it's Little Beagle Square, whether it's fair, reopen Fall Street discussion. Has a cost-benefit study ever been done on this? I always hear 150%, but I also heard earlier that you have to take money from Seneca Metals to offset the shortage in water sewage project. Are we getting paid the proper amount in revenue off this 414, 318 to cover our expenses?
What's our expenses?
Everything that has to be upgraded at the water and sewer.
That all has to be upgraded without 318 and 414. That all has to be updated anyway. The pumping station is almost inoperable, and the Barrett Street or the Kingdom pump station is not, the project is not just because of 318 and 414. Okay. It's because of our own west side, western side.
But is it safe to say?
Wait a minute, you asked the question, let me explain. Okay. All the businesses at the town line, the McDonald's, the Holiday Inns, the landfill, the Vanadents, all those businesses are vibrant businesses that use that system.
You're not listening.
I'm listening.
Okay. Has anybody ever done a cost-benefit ratio? I mean, right now, there's probably nobody here, including the people in the audience, that know whether it's a good fit for Seneca Falls.
But you're missing the point, okay? This was an agreement that was done by previous boards 5 years ago. Well, listen.
Why not 175% or 200%? Because
why?
Because it's all coming to our wastewater facility.
Correct. And
what we're talking about is 90% of the usage is outside our county. You just mentioned Junius. You just mentioned 414.
We're talking about, Fred, we're talking about 12 businesses total that are on the 318, 414 sewer line. They contribute very little to the sewer line itself. Very little. Hopefully they'll be contributing a lot if that whole area develops. That would be wonderful. Absolutely.
Well, the outlet mall's on it, correct?
The outlet mall is on it.
That's more than 12 businesses.
Well, between the two of them, not much more, I gotta tell you. You got it.
So what you're saying is, the board, we shouldn't have a water sewer increase in 2021 to 2022 because this 150% is offsetting all our costs. I don't know, Bev, is it safe to say that we don't have to take anything in 2021 from Seneca landfill, that 1.4 million to help out wastewater?
We haven't, the only thing they've used it for in the past was to help with the infrastructure.
For infrastructure.
To improve infrastructure. That's what that's been used for, to go into the reserves for capital improvements. It's not to function or operate the system.
Yeah, there's no landfill revenue that goes into the operating budget of water and sewer. It's all for infrastructure.
Well, and community centers.
Not water and sewer. I said highway. Right. I said community center. I said Vince's Park.
And even the highway.
Water and sewer department is a separate entity. It's a self-funding. It just funds itself through rates. Okay. Now, if you have capital improvement projects, infrastructure projects, okay, then you would have to raise the rates to offset those projects. Instead, this town has been using landfill revenue for those capital improvement projects.
Okay. Could we assume that because of this new usage, and let's look at it.
It's not new, it's already been in place.
No, but let's just say the expansion of 318, 414, let's say it explodes, and I'm the first one that would be in favor of that, that's tax revenue. Is that gonna offset the cost right now?
I don't know what cost you're talking about, Brad.
I'm talking about water and sewer rates going up in 2021 as they have in the past years.
I don't know if they have to go up or not, I don't know. But this intermunicipal agreement, again, has been in the works for a long time, but it's not costing the town of Seneca Falls any additional funds. Our sewer treatment plant is at what, 55% capacity?
Yeah, about 55%.
Okay, so if it's only 55%, there probably shouldn't be any request for capital improvement. I mean, this 5.6 million bond we're looking at.
That's the equalization thing, that's a completely different thing.
None of the flow from 318, 414 goes through the equalization thing?
Well,
Yes or no?
Brad, this is not a court of law. Don't say yes or no stuff. That's completely inappropriate, okay? That's completely inappropriate.
Okay.
Okay, eventually, the equalization tank, as you know, okay, takes care of when you have excess rain, okay? Because our drainage system is antiquated, because so many businesses and homes are connected directly, let me finish, are connected directly to sewer lines, okay? Okay, so the equalization tank, we are in violation of DEC laws, okay? It has nothing to do with 318, 414. It has everything to do with the old village of Seneca Falls.
Can we agree to disagree with the question, not a yes or no? Does the water and sewage from the new agreement go through the equalization tank before it's...
No.
No. The equalization tank takes care of overflow. When you get 2 inches of rain in 3 hours, in the system becomes overflow.
For the entire system, which includes all the new projects. We can't say no. If anything, if we didn't have 414, we might be able to put in a smaller EQ tank.
If you didn't have 318 and 414, you might have to do what?
Maybe you could put in a smaller, therefore less expensive EQ tank.
No.
Don't know that.
No, there's no leakage out there, it's all new pipe. The leakage is all in the old village.
Okay.
So nothing from 318 nor 414 nor SMI touches the equalization tank.
I don't think anybody's saying that.
Well, when it mixes with what's already here in the village, it'll go in there, yeah.
I know.
So Brad, right now, okay, listen.
Let's use.
I don't think anybody's saying that. Okay, so the water comes down and goes, and it's pumped through, and it's going down Fall Street, the sewage, okay? You get 2 inches of rain, and now that infrastructure has been compromised, okay? So, yeah, I imagine sewage from the casino could eventually end up in the equalization tank based on certain environmental conditions at the time.
Okay, I think we're on the same page. So this $5.6 million bond that over a period of time, taxpayers like myself will have to pay, why aren't we going back to Junius? Why aren't we going back to Waterloo or the towns that are involved in this thing?
Try to Junius in Seneca Falls.
Okay, partake in this $5.6 million bond. It's just a question. I'm not looking for answers. I don't think we've ever, like, as a town or a village, has looked at wastewater rates from the standpoint, are they offsetting the expenses, future expenses?
I'm sure we probably don't. I mean, that's why, because the town has been very reliant on landfill revenue. And when you have that revenue, probably there was no cost analysis done over the time. But certainly this IMA agreement has been in the works. You were on the county board when it started, probably.
Fully understand the agreement resolution. I'm just talking maybe it's the time to really do an analysis on cost benefit.
Yeah. Or increase revenue. That's a good point. Yeah.
Two things, Mike, two things back to this agreement. I only see the O and M money when it comes to Route 318.
Because it hasn't been established for 414.
And then I just in general, I agree with Steve's concern. We got this afternoon. And so we're either being asked to rubber stamp something without reading it, or we need.
So I'd like to make a motion that we table this until November. Because it came along with 3 or 4 other documents as well that I didn't have an opportunity to.
Yeah, and again, it doesn't have to wait till November, but
What?
I want a chance to
It
read
doesn't
it.
have to wait till November, you have 3
Right.
Yeah,
But there's no reason it can't wait till November. I'm making a motion that we table this till November.
Second. You know, as Mike said, this has been in the works for years, another month isn't so many people to read this.
That's
There's an
fine.
opportunity.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? So carried.
No opposition,
I'm beg your pardon?
no opposition. You voted yes.
I voted yes.
That's all I want to know.
I'm all in favor of people being informed. Okay? I'm also in favor of killing this fly. Okay, can I have a motion to approve sewer credits for the month of September? There are 2 of them, I believe, and total $626. All in favor? Or any second, please.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. Is there any items to be added to the new business agenda?
We have the 115 fall, and then I've got something else which I can speak to.
Forget it. What's the something else?
Something else has to do with the settlement of the assessment challenge that was brought by 108 Fall Street LLC, which is the Gould Hotel. It's something that we spoke about February, March, with the assessor. We had a joint executive session, so nothing, and at the time he authorized me to enter into negotiations to try to work out a settlement with particular numbers. Well, we've reached that settlement with those particular numbers, and so I'm asking I'm gonna keep going? I'll keep going. So, right now I'm asking the board for a motion to authorize the settlement of the matter of 108 Fall Street LLC versus the Town of Seneca Falls Department of Assessment to establish the final tax assessment. It would go from $3,750,000 to $2,750,000, and that would be entirely prospective for the next 3 years, and it doesn't go backwards, which would necessitate issuing refunds. So it all goes forward, and this has been agreed to by the other parties involved, which is the petitioner, 108 Fall Street LLC, as well as the school district.
I make a motion for that to be accepted. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Any further discussion or questions? Okay, Beth, thank you for getting that finalized finally. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to need a motion to accept a resolution for the sale of 115 Fall Street, Seneca Falls, New York. Can I have a motion for that resolution, please? Thank you. As you know, 115 Fall Street is a town-owned condo that was part of, it used to be the visitor center when we were the village of Seneca Falls. The village got a grant and they purchased this, and then the visitor center moved to its current location. This condo has been sitting there idle since 2012. And we still pay condo fees, we pay maintenance and operation, et cetera, We have a purchase offer on it, and I'd like to, Town of Seneca Falls owns property at 115 Fall Street, whereas the 115 Fall Street is currently not used for town operations. Town has received a purchase offer for the property of $65,000 from Angels from individuals that will seek approval to renovate the property into a 2 to 4 single-family residential unit. The proposal would place the property back on the tax rolls and contribute to the local economy. Now therefore, the Board of the Town of Seneca Falls hereby finds that the proposal submitted by Jeffrey G. and Veronica Munder will provide the best long-term benefit to the citizens of Seneca Falls. Further, the town board hereby accepts the purchase offer submitted by the Munders for the purchase price of $65,000. Further, this project is subject to right of first refusal that belongs to the owner of the remainder of the building. This resolution will take effect 30 days from the date of the adoption unless the town receives notice that the right of first refusal will be accepted within that time frame. And further, that this resolution is subject to permissive referendum and will take effect 30 days from the date of adoption or after the permissive referendum process is completed. So a couple things there. Because it's town property, it's required to have a permissive referendum. So if anybody in the town gathered 250, yeah, I can't remember.
It's a percentage of the total.
Percentage of the population, right. To oppose this, they would bring that to us at our next board meeting in November.
No. They would submit a petition within the next 30 days. I think our next board meeting is beyond the 30 days, so we'll have to bring it down to the clerk's office.
But I'd have to submit that by November or October.
October 31.
October 31. Full moon.
There you go. Watch out.
This is a blue moon month.
That is a full moon.
Blue moon month, you guys know that? So Friday is, you ever once in a blue moon, right? So blue moon happens that's when it happens, you get 2 full moons in the same month, okay? So you'll say once in a blue moon. Well, it really applies to when the blue moon is on Halloween night, okay? Because that happens once every 19 years, so that's what the old saying comes from. So you have a good full moon on Friday night. That's also called the harvest moon, Dan, okay? You know what the harvest moon is? That's the first full moon after the fall equinox, okay? So you got the harvest moon and you got a blue moon month. Anyway, so...
Gee, why did you stop writing? Why did you stop writing?
Okay. Couple things in this, based on the condo language, the owners of the condo have the right of first refusal, and secondly, the permissive referendum.
And both those have a 30-day time.
So I we had to wait there's no specific time frame for right of first refusal, but we had a 30-day window for the permissive referendum anyway, so I just carried that over, and we'll see what happens.
Any other questions? Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Can I have a motion to pay the bills for the month of September?
I have some new business.
I'm sorry?
New business?
New business?
New business. I'd like to offer a resolution
Sure.
to the board. Whereas the Seneca Falls Town Council chooses to revise the existing policy requiring that members of the public submit in advance the request to be added to the agenda for the purpose of addressing the town council. And whereas it is the belief of this town board that public input is important to the democratic process and is both valued and encouraged. And whereas the revised process would encourage and promote free speech, therefore be it resolved that the Seneca Falls Town Council moves to adopt privilege of the floor, allowing members of the public to address the town council. And be it further resolved that the following rules will apply. Speakers will be required to state their names and address. Speakers are required to address the council, not the audience, and speakers will be limited to 3 to 5 minutes.
Second.
Second it?
I'm confused, but I'll second it.
So this is
I always second something for discussion, but I'm confused.
This is essentially to allow people, so we will add an item to the agenda that essentially is privilege of the floor or open the floor, much like the county does, to allow people to address the board without having to get on the agenda several days ahead of time.
Correct, but I mean, it's a formality. In my 8 months, I've never denied anybody the opportunity to talk to the board after certain things have come up, but if you want to make it official, that's fine.
Well,
with me.
I don't think the public knows that they don't have to, I think the public's under the impression that they have to submit a request to Nikki, you know.
Yeah, that was the standard, but back in the early meetings, that people were paying attention, and then maybe, maybe, I certainly would encourage anybody to speak, but absolutely, make it official, that's fine with my meetings.
And I have a question.
Yeah.
This is just to have them speak during the time for petitioners.
During that, yes, during that period of time, from the beginning of the
Not
meeting.
throughout the meeting.
No.
They shouldn't be speaking.
Well, and that's a matter of balancing, so I'm not gonna say to Brad Jones, you can't talk, Brad, because you haven't, I'm gonna always encourage people. But please understand that if this becomes, and all in favor of transparency and people talking, but if it becomes to the point where it becomes 4-hour meetings, then we're gonna do the same thing as the county, we'll do the same thing as the county does. I'll make a motion that we have 2 meetings a month.
Well, the board would have, you can make that motion, but the board would, we can reconsider other options.
Absolutely.
And, if you have a big crowd, it looks like you have 1 million people that want to speak, perhaps you say, look, we're only gonna allow 1 minute or 2 minutes or.
Absolutely.
But, this allows people to come and speak. I mean, if somebody presents or speaks, and that compels somebody else to want to then get up and speak, they can do that. And
Absolutely.
up to this day, as far as I know, I think most people think that unless they sign up, they can't stand up and speak.
No problem.
So this is a motion to,
Never stop Brad from talking. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. Any other items for new business?
Mike, could I just
You
say
can't
one-
talk.
I just want to say one thing. October, the week of the October 19th, the Finger Lakes Railway is going to be shutting down Rumsey Street, Rumsey and Oak. They're going to be putting in new tracks up there. So that week it's going to be closed down, so we should get on the website. The
October
people-
19th?
Pardon me?
October 19th?
The week of October 19th, yes.
Okay, thank you. And if anybody has any sentiments for Knight's letters work, which is on a mainstay in Seneca Falls for a long time, you might want to go pay your last respects, because that's coming down, I think, sometime next week. It's being demolished. Pardon?
What did you say? I was right.
Knight's leather work on Chestnut Street is being demolished, I think, next week.
They haven't got their permit yet.
You don't need a permit from the town of Seneca Falls. I think that's a county permit. You don't need a permit for demolition.
Yes, you do.
Kim, for demolition?
Yes, you do.
I don't know, I thought Dean said you don't need a permit for demolition.
No, that's you do.
I had to get one to demolish the shed.
We have,
They haven't got a permit yet?
they haven't, I've got it.
Oh. I thought it was the other way around. The county, you need a permit for demolition?
Need it from home.
Let's see, what else? Need a motion to pay the bills for September.
I'm sorry about.
Oh, geez, that's right, thank you, thanks, Peter. Speak right up there, buddy.
Okay. This is the RFP I mentioned earlier. We need a basically.
I'm gonna make a motion that we accept the proposal RFP for the SCADA Systems Integration Term Services. Can I have a second for that, please? Second.
Thank you. Basically, it's an RFP that the town will be sending out to procure those services primarily for the water sewer department. What we need is essentially this needs to be advertised. We've asking, hopefully we can send these out to, it's RFP is, it's professional services. There's probably 4 or 5 local firms. We target those firms, send it out to them, let them know it's coming. It would need to be advertised though, on that end. And then essentially it's defines what the scope of work would be, working for the water and sewer department under term service agreement for about 2 years rather.
And we really need to get this done and over with because things have to be purchased and so forth.
Joe, yeah, the town currently has somebody, but they're unofficial. I think Joe just wants to kind of follow the procurement policy.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. Did I finish the motion for pay the bills?
No, we need to pay the bill.
We didn't pay the bills? Let's pay the bills. Have a motion to pay the bills for September. Motion to pay the bills?
Pay the bill.
Pay the bills. Second, good. All in favor? Aye. Did I hear that we have to go to executive session?
No.
We didn't have to go to executive session. Okay. Can I have a motion? Is there, anybody like to speak?
Make a motion.
What's that?
No, sir.
Can I have a motion to adjourn? Second. I'll see everybody at the public budget workshop. We're gonna do our visit that night, right?